In this video, I'm going to give you my recommendation for a set of wireless mics that won't break the bank. Now, many people are going to tell you you shouldn't buy cheap mics, that the sort of, you get what you pay for idea that you often hear. And while this is true to a certain extent, the fact is not every DJ has thousands of dollars to spend on wireless mics, at least not initially. So if you need mics and you can't wait however long it takes you to make, several $1,000s to buy a quality system, and honestly, a quality mic system will probably run you anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 per channel, then this is the video for you. And I'll get right to it. The mic system I recommend is the InnoPow WM333. I'll have a link in the description for it, but this is not an affiliate link. I don't make any money from you buying this system. InnoPow is not paying me to make this video. I'm not sponsored by them, anything else. Really, this video is just me explaining why I recommend this system, why I've used it for the past 6 years in certain applications, and why I think it's really the best system for DJs and karaoke DJs or anyone who needs a good set of mics that aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg, especially if you're just starting out. Now, what's really important is that you get the InnoPow WM333, which has adjustable frequencies and is not a fixed frequency. There's a cheaper version, the WM200, which is not tunable. And as a result, I don't recommend that system for DJs who might be working in different areas. The problem with a fixed frequency is that if you're working at a venue where, say, there's a TV station or interference at that frequency, you're toast. There's nothing else you can do. You're fighting for the same frequency, the same band. Whereas an adjustable frequency mic, like the WM333, will actually scan over its frequency range for an open frequency, and then it'll find the best one. And I even have a little handheld, it's a handheld spectrum analyzer that sometimes I'll bring to events, and I'll look for the open frequencies and tune it manually. I've done that as well, which can really help, because where I am in Houston, the noise floor is really high. It can be really difficult to find an open frequency based on where the TV stations are and everything. Now, the WM333 systems that I own have 80 available channels, which range from 535 to 574 megahertz. The new version, which actually has the same model number, so it's also the WM333, but it's the version that's been released after 2022 or 2023, has 200 available channels from 536 to 587 megahertz, which is also in line with the new FCC regulations for wireless devices. So definitely get that version. You can also use more of the systems together if you wanted to. I guess you could technically use up to maybe 50 at a time, though I don't know if I'd recommend that, but you could in principle. Now, I bought my first set of these. This is what the mic looks like. Back in 2018. And what happened was I had an event at a venue where I was told there was this in-house AV system that I'd be using for mics, so I didn't have to bring any. So I booked this event months in advance. And the mics that I usually used, which at the time I think was the Sennheiser G3 system, those were actually on rental for a corporate event that was also going on at the same time. Well, a few weeks before this event that I was DJing happened, the client calls me and is like, hey, we can't use the in-house system for whatever reason. I don't even remember the reason. Is there any way you can bring a set of mics? So I really needed a set of mics fast. And furthermore, I wasn't about to spend just thousands of dollars on a backup mic system for just a single event. So I found this WM333 based on reviews on Amazon and just what would come in time. So for about $120, I bought the system, and then I was able to bill the client $40, and they were super, super happy. The mic came in, and I ran them for the event, and to be honest, they worked flawlessly. Now, I remember the first time I opened the package being impressed with the build quality, especially of the mics themselves. Now, these are made of metal, and they have a surprising amount of weight and heft to them, especially when you put batteries in here. It feels good. I mean, it's heavy, but it feels good because you actually have some heft to it. And you can compare this to other systems like the entry-level Shure mics, which are made of plastic. This just feels a lot better. Now, currently, I have this system. It's installed in this rack behind me on here, this top 1U. This is kind of a pre-wired rack that I have that has a little mixer and a power supply. And this is kind of a backup system that I sometimes use but very rarely use nowadays. Now, it doesn't come with the rack ears, but you can either get them for $20 or sometimes when they ship the mics to you, they will also provide a code that you can use to get the rack ears for free, which is really nice. What really surprised me the most about this system was the sound quality of the mics. I think these mics sound better than an SM58, which is kind of the gold standard for most handheld wired mics. I mean, they have a really good frequency response, good bass. They don't sound overly tinny or anything like that. It's not what you would expect for the price that you're getting two mics for $120, $130 is what I think it is on Amazon. You would not expect the sound quality to be this good. I mean, it really sounds professional. They also don't have a ton of handling noise either compared to some of the other mics I use. One of the mics I use quite a bit are the Audix R62s. They have great range, they're great mics, but there is quite a bit of handling noise as people are, gripping it or other things. With these, I don't find that quite as much. And I mean, I think these sounded better than the Sennheisers I was using at the time, but the Sennheisers have a slightly different frequency response. So it could just be kind of, personal preference at that point. But the point here is this is a good quality mic. And if you look at other people's reviews, they're going to say the same thing. This isn't, it's not just me saying this. Pretty much everyone who's used this is going to say the same thing. Yeah, this really doesn't sound like you're getting two mics for $130. It sounds like a $130 wired mic, but you're getting two wireless transmitters and a receiver, which is really nice. Yeah, I ended up using this system quite a bit because of how much I liked it. And I very quickly made the money I bought it for back. I mean, several times over. Anytime I was doing some event and they either needed some additional mics, or I was running a band and they had several vocalists, or I was doing karaoke, it'd just be boom, $40, boom, $40. And I just bring this system. So the $120 at the time, or $130 I spent on it, I just made that back several times over very quickly. And I even bought another pair. I bought the WM333B, which is the same receiver, but the transmitters, it has two body pack transmitters instead of handhelds. Now, the WM333B includes two headset mics and two lapel mics as well, though to be honest, the mic quality is not the greatest on those, but because it has a little mini XLR jack, you can just swap out the mic with something else that you want to use. So you can use the same transmitter, the same body pack, but you can use any mic you want that has mini XLR. I think I used a Samson for a while and that was fine. So looking at the unit, what you see on the front, you have the menu button, which you can use to scan. If you hold it, it'll scan for unavailable frequencies, or if you just press it, it will just basically start syncing the receiver, which if you look at the receiver, there's this little IR button. So you basically press that. If the mic is on, you hold it up and it'll sync the frequency to this. It's always good when you get to a venue to scan for available frequencies when you're at a new venue, because what might have been open at one place and at one time may not be available at another. That's that benefit of having the adjustable frequencies, or the non-fixed frequency, really. And you also have this button, this add button, which basically allows you to tune the channel. You can select a channel with that manually, and then of course you sync it. And then you also get a volume knob per channel, which is also a really nice touch. Now looking here on the back, what you see is you get an XLR output for each channel, plus what I think is an unbalanced, it's a 1/4 inch out for the mix out, which is the sum of the two. And you also have the attachment points here for the BNC connectors for your half-wave antennas, which of course are included. Now, to be honest, these mics have been pretty dependable for me. I would actually recommend them above the entry-level Sures like the PGX, which cost at least twice as much, if not 3 or 4 times as much. And certainly I would recommend this system over something like the GLXD or any 2.4 gigahertz, any sort of Wi-Fi band mics. You do not want to be using those. It's just a terrible idea. I don't even know why they make those. To me, they're just total trash. The InnoPal, these have been, they've been pretty good. Now, are there better mic systems out there? Yes. In particular, the Audix R62 is very good, along with one of my favorites, the Sennheiser, the G4 EW500, and some of the upper level Sures like the SLXD, ULX, QLX, and of course the Axient. But each of these systems are going to probably cost you over $1,000, and some almost are over $2,000. That's per channel. And remember, this system is about $130 for 2 channels, 2 transmitters and 1 receiver. And plus, this actually fits into a 1U rack space, as you see behind me, something that the Sennheisers can't do without an antenna combiner, which is going to take up another rack space. So if your rack space is a premium, if you're using a rack like I do, then of course you also need to think about that. What do you have space for? And to be honest, I think if you got this system and you want a significant upgrade, which you may want to upgrade at some point, you're probably going to easily pay 5 to 10 times more, maybe 20 times more than this system to get a good, a very high quality dual system. Now, have I had dropouts with this system? Yes, I have had a few dropouts with this system, but I've also had dropouts with pretty much every other mic system I've used. That includes the Audix R62 and the Shure SLX and QLX. I think there was one time I was using the QLX and it couldn't even find a frequency. It just said no frequencies available. It scared the crap out of me. But yeah, I mean, this just happens, right? What I think has been the most reliable for me has been the Sennheiser G4 EW500, which I actually bought in the AW Plus band after looking at my area and deciding that was the best for where I was working. But that cost me about $1,300 per channel, and I did not have that kind of money in 2018. Now, a lot of these issues that you get when it comes to dropouts or anything like that can be mitigated by getting line of sight from your transmitter to the receiver and being strategic about where you set up your receiver in a room. I mean, sometimes what I've done is I've put the receiver on top of a speaker and just had that speaker up. I'll often do that for ceremonies, wedding ceremonies. I'll just put the receiver on top of the speaker and just have that thing way up in the air so that it's boom, right to the officiant rather than needing to shoot through people. That's where you really get dropouts or decreases in ranges if you don't have line of sight. So keep that in mind. I've seen these mics shoot through walls, which is really nice, though once again, I wouldn't want to rely on this working in a situation like that. You don't want to have to rely on it not having line of sight, but sometimes you do the best you can. So I've used these InnoPal mics for the past 6 years for weddings, for corporate events, karaoke, and even at the club. And I do give them a full recommendation if you're realistic about what to expect. I mean, for the money, I think they're a steal. I think it's a great product for someone who needs a set of wireless handheld mics that aren't going to break the bank. They sound good. The technology is good. They have good transmitter power. You can look at the RF Explorer, and when you turn the transmitter on, you can actually see the spike. I mean, it's pretty high up there. So it's definitely sending a nice clear signal there. Now, notice how in this video I haven't spent a ton of time talking about specs. I could mention I don't think these mics are true diversity, but the point is these specs on paper are only telling part of the story. Manufacturers can list all sorts of numbers on a spec sheet to sell a product, but the real question is, does this system perform well in the field? And for that test, to be honest, these mics have passed with flying colors, especially, again, for the amount of money that you're going to get them for. They're good, really just a good product. So in the end, be realistic about what to expect. And obviously, if you're doing something mission critical, you'll want to buy mics that have additional features that ensure you're not going to get dropouts. Features like true diversity, or what I would consider to be the best, which is frequency diversity. But that's found in the Shure Accent line. And while those I think are the best mics I can recommend, you're probably going to have to sell a kidney to buy them. And they're probably overkill for most DJs. So again, if you need a pair of wireless mics to get started, these InnoPal systems are a great choice. Now, a few other things I use additionally with it. One is these are some Shure bags. I'll provide a link in the description. They're great for, these are very long mics. So these actually fit in these zipper bags, which is really nice for protecting them and keeping them from getting anything in them. The other thing I'll say is I often use rechargeable batteries. I use these Panasonic Eneloop. This is the BQ-CC55. I'll provide a link in the description. I've used these for the past 5 or 6 years for my handheld and wireless mics, and I've had zero issues. I used to be really nervous about using rechargeable batteries because you hear all the horror stories, and I used to always keep a full set of like 30 AA batteries of just normal ones in my vehicle at all times, just in case I had an issue. But I have had zero issues with this. So it's really nice. It just saves me it's kind of an eco-friendly thing. I'm not throwing out batteries. It used to be the case that I would always make sure that my mics had 3 bars. The battery was full. If it ever dropped down to 2 bars, boom, batteries in the trash, fresh set of batteries. With this, I haven't replaced them. Every time I get to an event, I set up everything and then I plug these in. And usually in an hour, they'll be usually it'll be like 30 minutes, but by an hour they will be completely charged and I can know that I can use them for a wedding ceremony, and the handhelds I can use for as long as I need it to. So this is a great choice, these Panasonic Eneloops. If you're looking for rechargeable batteries, if you either want to be more eco-friendly, don't want to be throwing out batteries, or I guess you could probably save some money by doing this because you're not always buying new batteries. But just know these will work. These aren't going to fail on you like some of the technology's just gotten better. So keep that in mind too. But anyway, hopefully you found this video helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any comments. Again, if you're looking for other mic systems, I'm more than happy to provide recommendations. But if you're looking for something that's going to be good quality, that's going to perform well, especially for the price point, then these InnoPal mics definitely would recommend. So see you in the next video.